All right, good morning. Good morning. It is Tuesday, November 12th. We're taking a look at NQ here, NASDAQ. So trading within a new near-term range. We've got about two, potentially three sessions of some near-term range here following what was a new all-time high. So for today, what I'm primarily going to be looking at, like we talked about yesterday, ahead of the close in the think tank, is how price continues to trade versus kind of the edge points of this range right through here. Now, the 21,200 level does remain significant. That was the prior all time high, right? And you can see the volume that is starting to really accumulate in this area. We have both the kind of structure, volume point of control concentrated right there, but also we have last week's volume point of control and this week's. Granted, it's only a session and a half, or a little less than a session and a half, but we've got a ton of volume that is starting to build out here at the 21,200 level. So this level definitely remains significant. It is right in the middle of this near term range, which is 21,100 by about 21,340, just treating this kind of high up here as a reference point, not a true level of interest or anything like that. So as far as this morning, what I'll be focused on is how price trades off the open versus this 21,200. We want to see if yesterday's selling activity is going to continue or if buyers are going to step in versus that test of the near term lows, maybe have a push up into the overnight high, up into that 21,265 area, maybe even up into that 21,340. As of right now, this is just mid range, right? So, best opportunities, as always, when we're trading within a range, are going to be near the edge points of the range. Backdrop does remain bullish on the intermediate term and neutral on the near term. So, near term range, intermediate term trend higher. Buyers definitely remain in control. Of course, that can change, but that's what it is right now. So let's see how we open up. Taking a look at the economic calendar. We have some Fed speak today. Some Fed speak around 10 a.m. We've got Fed's Waller at 10 a.m. and some more Fed speak at 10:15. Looks like there may be a data print at 10:10. Economic optimism. So that 10 a.m. time, as it always is, will definitely be a interesting time. See how we open up. As always, see how that intraday structure builds out. See what we're working with. See what we are working with. Here's a look at yesterday's session and profile. So you've got that prior day volume point of control right near 21,200. Some good two-way action yesterday. Look at that session. Nice two-way action. So let's see how this 21,200 is going to be treated off the open here in about 90 seconds. Ahead of the bell, ahead of the open, you have VWAP right here. You got 21,200. You got prior day volume point of control. You have the current overnight session volume point of control right here. So this area right through here definitely remains significant. Let's see if buyers continue to step in and defend that area. Just getting a look at the overnight action here. Some sellers stepped in near 225. Overnight high up here at 250. Overnight low currently 21,130. And your prior day low down here near the 21,100. So we got the open in 1 minute. See how we're looking. 21,200 seems to be holding. Yes, sir. Let's see. Let's see how that open looks. $30 till the open. And we're looking at 21,200. All right, there's the open. 21,200 tested there right off the open. No gap this morning. No gap whatsoever. So I don't have to worry about any sort of gap. No gap rules or anything like that. It's a good old near-term range. So initially 21,200 is defended. NQ trading 225. $200 being retested here. $21,200. Little retest. And new low of day there for NASDAQ. Into that prior day volume point of control. Looks like ES tested that overnight high. You've got Russell pushing as well. As always, my focus is NASDAQ. New low of day being made there. Into the 185s. NQ. Not much support below here outside of 160. 160 has definitely been significant over the past few sessions. I don't even know if you can see that. Let's see. Oops. Bring this over here. There we go. It's that 160 area. So if weakness does continue, you can definitely look at that area. See that reaction into 160 right now. Price retesting 200. There's VWAP. There's a nice push into the 210s. And back into 200. What is our session high? It's currently 222. 222. NQ coming back into session highs here. Let's see if buyers are able to make a fresh high on the sesh. There we go. New high of day for NASDAQ. Nice push. Do have some prior day resistance in this area. Again, just looking at prior day structure. NQ bumping up against 230. There we go. Nice break of that pivot from the overnight sesh. Clearing some of that prior day resistance we just talked about, coming into that overnight high up into 250. So nice showing from buyers versus that 200 level of interest. Overnight high is your next upside reference point here on NASDAQ. Here on NQ. If you grabbed any microstructure longs on NASDAQ, you probably want to be protecting, at the very least trailing. Yeah, there was a tiny little microstructure there. So NQ bumping into some of that prior day resistance. I love to look at the prior day structure anytime price opens within that prior day range. That pivot right through there. It's kind of the next test for buyers here. Need to see a break of this area. You also have the overnight high right in this area as well. So far, a pretty strong response off the open. A little bit of retrace here. Price just kind of bouncing between that overnight range. See where we're at as far as the fib retracement. With your 38% fib retrace being tested. Looks like you have S&P through the overnight high. Got some strength in Russell continuing as well. Got some market-wide strength this morning, off the open anyway. Now I just want to wait and see how this structure continues to build out. We've got pretty much just a directional move. No real structure just yet, though. As far as the intraday is concerned. Opening 15-minute bar closes up here in 2.5 minutes. NQ almost into that 50% fib here. VWAP 21,204. Almost all the way back into the 200 level of interest. $15-minute looks poised to close just as a doji here, so some indecision. Remember, price is in the middle of a near-term range, so we do have a level of interest, but location, as far as the structure is concerned, is not the best, if you ask me. This area should be a good test to see buyer's risk appetite. 200 VWAP, 61% fib. There's your first 15-minute bar, all closed. And that is almost a perfect doji. So no real direction on the 15-minute. Not all that surprising given current location. Some buyers stepping in there versus VWAP versus that kind of confluence of levels there. Back into that 61% fib, back into that VWAP area. No follow through on that initial bounce. And we got about 13 minutes till 10 a.m. with a couple of Fed speakers lined up. There's 200, NQ back into the 200s. Got a pull back in ES as well. Russell just continues to push. Good push in Russell versus that prior day low. So some more buyers stepping in versus 200 there in NQ. Good to see. Good to see the levels holding. Buyers are looking for a break of this 220 area now. You kind of have a, I don't know if you can see that, but very slight microstructure here. Question on RTY in the chat. Send me a DM in the think tank. Not busting into the Russell analysis right now. Focuses on NQ currently. So NQ into that 220. We go buyers stepping in pretty nicely. They'll be looking for session highs here. NQ 5 minute, just barcode so far. kind of bouncing between prior day volume point of control. And that prior day structure pivot we talked about a moment ago, a few minutes ago. So let's see if 10 a.m. gives us some sort of expansion move out of this zone, out of this area. So far we know 200 is holding. 200 level of interest. So if you do have any longs from that 200 area on NQ, is a good spot to start reducing. Price getting back into that session high. This is going to be the target zone for those longs. See if a new high is going to be made here. Current high is 241. Can we see 241 trade? 241.5. There we go. New high of day on NQ. Overnight highs up into 249.5. There it is. 249 and a half. Held that long till high of day. Good stuff. There we go. Nice work, Des. Good patience on it. NQ new high of day there. So we're looking for overnight high here. See if buyers can give that next leg. It was a good push intraday, but keep in mind where we're at. Still right through here. Don't lose sight of the structure. Don't lose sight of the context. No acceptance into the session high there. So any longs from lower, make sure you have a trail in. So we get into 10 a.m. here, 5 till 10 a.m. Main focus, 200 level of interest before the open has worked pretty nicely so far. Let's see what we're working with post 10 a.m. NQ just shy of the highs again there. A little retest of 240. Buyer's still unable to break this prior day pivot here in the 240 area, 240, 245. Got to keep this area on watch. As a reference point primarily. Just shy of the highs now. Session high is 243, it looks like. See if they make a fresh high. There we go, new high of day. Overnight high is that upside reference point here. And that is 249 and a half. Buyers trying to break that prior day pivot. Here comes the overnight high. There's your overnight high. If you still have longs from lower, that's a good spot to take more. Then we're going to be looking at 265. Some near-term resistance right in this area. Not a true level of interest. We don't have any more levels of interest overhead. That's the nature of trading near all-time highs. Just reference points. And about 90 seconds till 10 a.m. Not a bad first 30. Not amazing, but not bad. Not bad, not bad. Grab my trail. Management was tough. Yeah, it's not the cleanest action. And then given trade location, right? A little tricky. But a couple of decent long opportunities. Pretty much off the open near 200 and then the retest down near 200. The retest was a little tricky. It would have been easy to have gotten shaken out there. But technically the level did not break. So you got to widen the stop or be willing to re-enter. When price came and retested through here, right through there. So if you're thinking this initial green bar is your entry, if you get stopped out right here, you got to get back in. Got to take your re-entry. Personally, I just go with a wider stop. Let's put it like down here. But that's just my preference. $2.15, yeah, I had some entries right there too. Look good. So we're post 10 a.m. now. We want to see how that overnight high is going to be treated. It's kind of the nearest reference point. One thing I'm keeping an eye on, again, is prior day structure. So we're just prior day range trading. So far, there's an inside day within the context of a near term range. It's like a range within a range. So I want to see some action either above the overnight high or potentially back down near 200 would be two ideal scenarios. There's a little bit of a pullback. Overnight high being rejected. So we got VWAP down here, session volume point of control right through here. We know this continues to be a significant area. Let's see. Let's see how it's treated. Looks like no interest whatsoever at VWAP. Let's see how 200 is going to be treated. See if the structure breaks. There's 200 being retested. There's your prior day volume point of control. Staying patient here personally. There's that third test of 200 in the past 30 minutes. It's not my favorite scenario. There we go. Pretty much no bid there. See if the lows are going to be tested. Session low. Not a ton I want to do given the current location. I like to see maybe a test into the 160. Let's see how the lows are going to be treated here. Good, and this is one of the focus points. Talked about that pivot 3, 4, 5 times now from the prior day structure. Look how well it was respected. So here's your session low right into 181. I'm curious to see how this 160 is going to be treated. Near term support through here. See if the lows give out. There's the lows being tested on NQ. There's your new low of day on NQ. Buyer's trying to set up a little spring right there. Might just have a range day on our hands here. A little range day. Back into 200. Retest of 200 here. Let's see. Do sellers step in? Not really. Not really. All right, so we got some more clues. Now we're in for a range day. 5 minute does look good. Yep. Spring setup working quite nicely. No trade for me. Anyone grab that? 40-point spring so far. Didn't want along with the 200 overhead. Yeah, that was kind of my thought as well. I wanted more of a washout there. I was not really looking for the spring. It's that 5 minute. Then that 5-minute hammer with the high pretty much right at 200. No big deal. Let it go. Let it go. Wanted a higher low near the low of the structure. Yeah, that would have been solid. Or following the low of day, a higher low at 200 would have been great as well. And Q back in a 230. Got the session high up there near the overnight high. 249 area. So far we just have a intraday range on our hands, less than 100 points. Few decent setups so far. You got the longs versus 200. You got the short at the overnight high. And I think that aligned with 10 a.m. reversal time as well. Just about. Then you got the spring setup there. So let's see how the structure continues to build. Right now it's just a range, right? Just a sideways range. And price is still just ping pong back and forth between yesterday's pivot and yesterday's volume point of control. It's kind of what we're looking at right now. Back into VWAP. VWAP on a range day is definitely less significant. So I don't give too much emphasis to VWAP here, personally. Chop, 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 chop. Patience, patience. Gotta stay patient now. Gotta stay patient. Got to stay patient. Remember our structure, near-term range. Price has yet to leave kind of that midpoint here. Volume point of control, 200 level of interest. I don't want to see any execution in the middle of this intra range in the 30 for 30. Yep, I'm with you there. I'm with you, Mr. Christopher. Oh, Mish was already cooking his up. Dang. Hate to see it. It's got the surprised unicorn there. It's not going to post now, damn. All right, so NQ getting back into 200 here. That's what I was saying about the VWAP a few minutes ago. Range trading, VWAP's going to be less significant. Best to leave it alone, in my opinion, of course. Session volume point of control currently 210. See how that profile is looking. See if 200 is going to trade again. That's volume. Definitely tapering down. If you have to see a print below the minimum threshold, this might be it right here. I may see this first print below the minimum threshold. Yep. First print below the minimum volume threshold. What is that telling you? What does that tell you? Anything? There's 200, prior day volume point of control. Scalping for 2 to 3 points with 50 cons. On the 1 second chart, man. Built different. Built different. So NQ, more buyers showing up versus 200, which is that 200 level of interest. Not in a big rush here to put on more risk given the current structure. I'd like to see some sort of expansion move outside of the current range, or some sort of other trap being set up, maybe another spring down through here, something of that nature. So just staying very patient right now. Almost 1 hour into the session. 1 hour. 1 hour into the sesh. How's everyone's morning so far? Any trades? Green, red, cash? What's it looking like? What's it looking like out there? Jesus? That one one of the options, sir. Still cash actually. Small green. Green, half daily goal, break even. One on one of one. Green. Cash, red. Quite choppy so far. Quite choppy. So buyers still defending 200. Keep an eye on. That's kind of the main thing right here, at least right now. Can we see price kind of leave this area? And if not, how eager do we want to be to just trade the edge points of the range? I wouldn't be that eager personally, but that's just my preference. Gonna shut it down. Easy trades are gone for your window. Yeah, that's probably a good call here. The range is definitely tightening. Volume is dropping, so there's a good case to be made for just sitting on hands or taking a break. About to be 1 hour into the sesh here. See what this next 30-minute bar is looking like. Buyers continue to show some interest versus that 200 area. They'll be targeting 35 here, 235, and then up into the overnight high. All right, we're starting to see this range compress a bit more here. It's almost time to shut it down. 1 hour in. What is price action currently telling you? That is the question. So preference right now for me, like I mentioned, like to see this range break. That's going to be the edge points, session low, session high, with acceptance outside of the range or some sort of trap setup. Could be like an up thrust, although I wouldn't be trading that, or ideally some sort of spring would be interesting. Until then, it's cash, 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 cash. Green on the day. Nice work, Des. Nice work. Nice work. Session volume point of control now serving as a bit of support here as the intraday structure continues to compress. And buyers show a break of 35. So that value area high. No 35 there, no 235. Probably give it 3 to 5 more minutes before we call it a day. Pure barcode action now. All right, I think we'll go ahead and call it there, folks. This is quite slow. Very unlikely I place another trade anytime soon till we start to see this structure resolve, which I suspect will be late morning, early afternoon. So don't get caught in the chop. Don't get chopped up. Pay attention to what the conditions are telling you. Price is within the prior day's range, which is within a near term range. So patience, patience, patience. Thanks for jumping into the stream. We'll keep it going in the think tank if anything happens here. Otherwise, see you guys in the next one. Thanks again for your time, and have a great rest of your day.